Oh, I saw Cori Bush.
Well, I mean, yes, you had
God.
Democrat, socialist lawmakers shout out their abortions.
Oh, it's so painful to watch.
You also had
What are they
a
doing?
practicing abortionist from Texas characterize abortion thusly.
SB 8 has not only caused a near total abortion ban in Texas, it has made it extremely dangerous to be pregnant in Texas, where our maternal morbidity and mortality rate is already unconscionably high, especially for Black women and pregnant people of color. Texas deserves better. I know firsthand that abortion saves lives. For the thousands of people I've cared for, abortion is a blessing. Abortion is an act of love. Abortion is freedom. We need federal protection now. We need laws that elevate science and evidence and recognize the dignity and autonomy of people accessing care. The Women's Health
Abortion saves lives. Let that sink in. Abortion is an act of love. Burgess Owens, our friend there, a newly minted Republican congressman from Utah, on that committee as well, that heard testimony. And since that abortionist brought up women of color and thus babies of color, minority families, Burgess Owens had something to say about it, about black men and their roles and responsibilities and what has happened and the need to speak honestly about where we find ourselves. Burgess Owens, Super Bowl champ and champion for common sense here.
And not point out the fact that we have fatherless homes. We have 70 to 80%. These are the facts, my friends. 70 to 80% will not marry the mothers of their children, and instead would probably try to convince them so they to dissolve them from their issues to go and get an abortion. We've lost 20 million Black babies over the last 40 years. 40% of my race has been exterminated because we don't have men that'll sit there and say, I'll take care of my kids. I'll protect my child. I'll make sure they grow up and get a good education. I'll make sure they're protected in my home and not leave it to their mother to do it on their own. And if we can't be honest about that, how in the world are we going to ever get this thing taken care of? I'll tell you what, you're going to start seeing Black men, that 30% that's still left, the really good, solid fathers, we're standing up. We're changing this trajectory. We're sick and tired of people looking at us as this is a normal thing that we just don't do our job as men. Be aware, we're waking up, and that's going to be a change in the coming years. We're going to start seeing Black men really commit to their families, their kids, the mothers of their children, and being the productive Americans we were back when I was growing up.
I know he's right. I mean, speaking of who Burgess Owens is and so many other Black fathers, the ones that he's talking about, and I hope that does provide an example that others follow. 20 million acts of love, according to the abortionist. For more on this as an example of a larger conversation, Rich Lowry joins us, editor of National Review, author of The Case for Nationalism, How It Made Us Powerful, United, and Free. Rich, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
The Age of Progressive Misinformation, a latest piece of yours. You go to the whipping and the reins at the border, and we'll get to that. Happy to get to that as well. But abortion saves lives. Abortion is an act of love, as the argument against the heartbeat law in Texas.
No, it's stomach churning. I mean, we've gone from safe, legal, and rare with Bill Clinton. Not that he necessarily meant it, but he felt compelled to say it, to abortion is a beautiful thing, and we need more of it. And it's an adornment to our national and moral life. It's just sickening, but it shows where the Democrats are on abortion now.
And right, and it's the change. I think that's important to note. The change in the sort of rhetorical positioning, the marketing of their position, safe, legal, and rare. We recognize it's not an ideal outcome. Now it's an ideal outcome that you should shout and celebrate. I mean, that is a major move in terms of branding.
Yeah, and it's comparable, I'd say, roughly to what happened in the American South prior to the Civil War, where for a long time slavery was acknowledged to be a reprehensible institution, but one that was hard to eliminate, but that eventually would be extinguished. And then, this appalled Lincoln, you had a positive celebration of slavery grow up, and in part because they felt so defensive about it. They really knew it was wrong, but they're like, okay, fired by moral fervor. We're going to have a moral fervor in favor.
Rich, you're breaking up on us a little bit.
A lot of bit. Hey, Rich.
Did we lose Rich?
Sorry.
Oh, good. The phone line's breaking up.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
Oh, that's a little bit
I'm
better.
on a landline.
Oh, you are?
Oh, the old landline, huh? You have a landline.
Yeah.
Do tell.
All right. I don't know.
Maybe it'll.
It could be NSA. I mean, we don't know. No,
I was really on I was on a roll there.
There you go. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we couldn't hear you. But now we can. So please continue.
So anyway, I was saying, I don't know how much you heard, but it reminds me of that how the South began to celebrate slavery prior to the Civil War, and not as well as a bad thing that eventually should go away. And there was a kind of perverse logic there, where the other side, the abolitionists were fired by a moral fervor, so the people in favor of slavery, okay, we're going to have a moral fervor of our own. And that's what we sort of see here. Understandably.
I don't know. Rich. I'm sorry. We're having trouble. One of us is having trouble with the line, so we're going to take a break and see if we can resolve this technical issue. Be right back.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
The Lou Dobbs Financial Report is brought to you by Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Visit signaturebank.bank for your commercial banking needs.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Winter heating bills will go through the roof. Amazon settling with 2 workers it fired last year. Those stories next. Mike Lindell, the inventor and CEO of MyPillow, wants to give back to our listeners. You can get great discounts on all MyPillow products if you go to MyPillow.com right now and click on the radio listeners specials. Get deep discounts on MyPillow's mattress toppers, towels, and so much more. For example, Mike is offering a buy one, get one free offer on Giza sheets. My wife and I love these Giza sheets, and I'm sure you will as well. All MyPillow products come with a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty. Go to MyPillow.com and click on the radio listener specials for the buy one, get one free offer on Giza sheets. Enter promo code DOBBS or call 1-800-977-9152 for these great specials. That's 1-800-977-9152. Use promo code DOBBS. After years of unusually inexpensive natural gas under the policies of former President Trump, prices of natural gas in America have more than doubled since the same time a year ago. With fuel costs rising under Joe Biden, compounded by inflation, the surging price of home heating oil will result in much higher heating bills this winter. Amazon settling with 2 former workers it fired last year. They were let go after criticizing Amazon for not protecting warehouse workers. Amazon must now pay the 2 women lost wages and post notices in its warehouses that it cannot fire employees for exercising their rights. Leaders of the fracking industry fear vaccine mandates may make it harder for them to hire new and qualified workers for oil exploration. Please join me 3 times each weekday for my updates from the Salem Radio Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, all right, we're back with Rich Lowry, editor of National Review, author of The Case for Nationalism, How It Made Us Powerful, United, and Free. And we're having a bit of technical difficulty. I think we've resolved it. Rich, you there?
I'm here.
All right,
All
great.
right.
Really sorry if that was on my end.
No worries. You sound good now. So we were
Now,
talking.
where were we?
We were talking about the age of misinformation from the left, even as they're trying to impose it on the right. And one of the things that Gloria Steinem, yes, she's still around. She testified on the Hill about this Texas abortion pro-life law as well, promoting abortion, of course, as she does. And she, the first thing that Hitler and Mussolini did was to eliminate family planning clinics. This is all fascistic. And I mean, what you heard from that abortionist, abortion saves lives, act of love. These they're essentially doing what the left is very good at doing, projecting onto the right who they really are.
Yeah, that's when I kept on kind of getting cut off. That's one of the points I was trying to make. Is that they now have this kind of moral fervor because they want to be the righteous ones, when obviously the pro-life cause is the righteous cause. And it's on the cusp potentially of a major victory next year in the Dobbs case. And if that happens, I'm not certain it happens, but there's some significant chance it happens. What a victory for 50 years of effort, praying, advocating, not giving up hope when things looked really bleak, when the conventional wisdom was pro-life cause was harmful politically, would eventually be totally extinguished, and people kept it alive. And it's really a testament to the faithfulness of a lot of folks and their belief in the fundamental dignity of every single life. And I just think that's just such a powerful, powerful thing to hold to, and so many people have over the years.
Well, especially powerful because of how out-resourced the pro-life movement is as compared to Planned Parenthood and the left. I mean, even among conservatives, there's not a lot of big conservative donors to pro-life causes like on some other issues in the conservative matrix. And so it really it's been a David and Goliath fight. Yeah,
and for the longest time, every time we saw this in the so-called autopsy when Romney lost in 2012, but for so long, every time Republicans lost an election, it was blamed on pro-lifers.
Right.
When that had nothing to do with it, when actually sort of traditional Republican economics was harder to sell than cultural conservatism for a lot of folks, or a lot of folks the party needed to reach. So, but now, I mean, we're seeing the rubber's going to hit the road, because if Roe is eliminated or rolled back, you're going to see legislation like in Texas, not with the same exact architecture, because that's the Texas law is written to get around Roe, but we're actually going to be able to restrict abortion in some significant way, and they're going to be huge fights over that. We're just seeing this. Texas is just the tip of what will be the iceberg.
Right, because aren't there 16 other states that are considering the same legislation?
Yeah. Now, I don't think, if Roe's frankly overturned, I don't think you need to do it the way Texas is doing it, where you just empower everyone to sue abortionists if they commit an abortion. But you'll have heartbeat laws that will ban abortion after 6 weeks in many, many states. And it'll be something new in our politics that actually we're having real fights over abortion restrictions in a way we haven't since before 1973, because the Supreme Court didn't let us.
Well, it's interesting because this is sort of a discussion of the rule of law, and that's the discussion. Part of the discussion of the rule of law is whether we have it anymore. You wrote about this in your Age of Progressive Misinformation piece, this manufactured border controversy with respect to the horse patrol there at the border. And one of the most amazing statements I've heard in a while from DHS Secretary Mayorkas, who's a former federal prosecutor, about the investigation into these Border Patrol agents who didn't do anything wrong, were accused of things that they clearly didn't do, and it has been established they didn't do. But the investigation goes on anyway, according to Mayorkas, former federal prosecutor, because we have to investigate what people believe to be true rather than say what we know to be true.
It's so Orwellian, and there are a couple layers here. One, they never should have been investigated, as you point out, because they did nothing wrong, and it was obvious. And then two, the President of the United States prejudging the bogus travesty of investigation by saying they'll pay and they'll have to be punished. And I mean, these guys, what's happened to their lives? They show up for work one day the way they always have. They do their job. They're like the one. The handful of federal officials actually doing their job and trying to enforce the border, and then the world comes down on it like a ton of bricks on them. And I hope, I've talked to some former Trump people about this, I hope someone's setting up a GoFundMe for them, to pay their legal fees or set up an educational fund for the kids to make up for the reputational hit they and their families have taken for this. But it's crazy. It is literally insane.
Well, it was poetic justice when Reverend Al Sharpton went down there because they were going to have a big BLM march in Del Rio,
and he was deported.
And the locals,
too bad.
And he ended up on a flight back to Haiti. No, he got just heckled and ridiculed by people that live in that town to go home. Did you see it, Rich?
Yeah, no, I heard of that. And
fantastic.
an interesting thing that's going on is Biden is underwater among Hispanics in Texas. And a big part of it is the border. One, these folks live in communities really impacted by what's happening at the border, and two, they don't like illegal immigration any more than anyone else does. So this is an issue where that played right, Republicans really have a chance to appeal to Hispanics on, and that's one of the more promising things going on in Republican politics is an avenue to Hispanic voters. It seems to be opening up.
Yeah, and I hope per Burgess Owens, maybe we'll have more avenues to Black Americans as well with respect to some of these issues of family formation and opportunity, so forth. I mean, Burgess Owens, one of the great spokesmen now in Congress on the topic. So people like Burgess Owens need to help lead the way for us, I think.
Yeah. So, but this border thing, obviously, total self-inflicted disaster. All Biden had to do is keep the Trump policies in place, and they tried to create the impression they're deporting everyone back to Haiti. They did fly some flights back to Haiti, but that, as Marcus said last weekend, they released 10 to 12,000 people into the United States. Every single one of those people has a cell phone. They call, and spread the word. We're in. And that creates an incentive for more people to come. And we have word of even more massive caravan heading to our border as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
We have 400,000.
Right.
They're predicting this month alone.
Don't
crazy.
come here, but we won't do anything if you do.
Yeah. And if you're pregnant, it'll help. So now everyone's getting pregnant and coming to the border. Or just claim that you're pregnant.
Mayorkas was down there saying the border was closed at the very moment that people were streaming across the border unimpeded, going back and forth for supplies to Mexico, and having to wait in line for a really long time to even get technically apprehended. That's what they were doing under the bridge. They were waiting to get apprehended because they know being apprehended, perversely, is your first step into the United States.
Right. Rich Lowry, editor of National Review, the book, The Case for Nationalism, How It Makes Us Powerful, United, and Free. Thanks, Rich. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, you too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule. Changing the world, one life at a time.
I went to my dentist, and my dentist goes, "Oh, your gums are so good now." And I said, "Well, I'm taking this stuff called Balance of Nature." And she pulls out a bottle. And she goes, "Oh, you want some?" And they were all hooked on it. It's really good.
I have cut down on supplements so much with this because it's giving me a balance, and I can tell it. And I can really definitely see a difference in